Good morning, students. So today we are going to discuss on a new concept, that is types of banking. So in the previous session we discussed about the difference between services and goods and types of service. So under types of service we learned business services, social services as well as personal services. So under business services, the first one was banking. So I told you that the main activity of banking is accepting for the purpose of lending. So what it does is it collects the amount from the people and it provides loan facilities to the one who are in requirement of it. So ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಆ ಲೋನ್ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟಿದು ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಸೊ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಲೋನ್ಸನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಒಬ್ಬರಿಂದ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಯಾರಿಗೆ ನೆಸೆಸಿಟಿ ಇದೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಲೋನ್ಸನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. So today's concept is types of banks. So it's like there are different types of banks. So banks can be classified into different types. So one is commercial bank. The second one is cooperative bank. The third one is specialized bank, and the fourth one is central bank. So banks, they are, like I told you, it can be differentiated or it is classified into different types. It is classified into different types. One is commercial bank. One is commercial bank. The second one is cooperative bank. Third one is specialized bank, and the fourth one is central bank. So the first one is commercial bank. Commercial bank. So commercial banks are institutions. Commercial banks are institutions dealing in money. Yes, they are those kind of institutions, or they are institutions which deals in money. So they are dealing in money. So they are governed by the Indian Banking Regulation Act of 1949. They are governed by the Indian Banking Regulation Act of 1949. Indian banking, or they are governed by the Indian Banking Regulation Act of 1949. So like I told you, banking, it means accepting deposits of money from the public for the purpose of lending. Yes, so it accepts money, or it accepts the deposit from the public. So the reason why it accepts deposit from the public is to lend that to the one who is in requirement. Yes, so and what it does is it lends, yes, and lends the amount or money to the people who are in requirement of it. So ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಅದರ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಸೊ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಅಮೌಂಟನ್ನು ಲೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ it collects the deposit from the public and it lends amount to the people who are in requirement of it. Okay, so it's like there are two types of banks, that is commercial banks. Commercial banks ಬರುವಾಗ there are two types of commercial bank. One is public sector bank and the other one is private sector bank. One is public sector bank and the other one is private sector bank. So public sector bank. So public sector banks are those in which government has the major stake. So ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದಾಗೆ public sector banks, they are those kind of organizations or those kind of banks where the government has the major stake, not less than 51% ಅಂತ ಏನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ, it will have major stake than the private people. Yes, so public sector banks are those in which the government has a major stake. So they usually need to emphasize on social objectives than on profitability. They will have to concentrate on social objective. They should emphasize on social objective. ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಎಂಫಸೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. They need to emphasize on social objective. So providing service to the public has to be the main agenda or the main motive of commercial bank. Yes, providing service. Okay, so they are not supposed to concentrate more on profit. So profit has to be the second important objective. The first objective is providing service to the society. So when it comes to private sector bank, so private sector banks are owned, managed and controlled by the private promoters. Yes, okay, so they are owned, controlled and managed by the private promoters, and they are free to operate as per the market forces. So there is no rules and regulations that what controls the private sector bank. So ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಬೈ ದಿ RBI. ಸೊ RBI ಇದ್ರೆ ಏನು ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ದಿ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ promoters. Yes, it will be controlled and managed by the private promoters, and they are free to operate as per the market forces. They are free to operate as per the market forces. Okay, so there are number of public sector banks. So public sector bank ಅನ್ನುವಾಗ ನಿಮ್ಮ SBI ಇರ್ಬೋದು, PNB ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಪಂಜಾಬ್ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಓವರ್ಸೀಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಕೆನರಾ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ವಿಜಯ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ದೇನಾ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಎಸ್, ಸೊ ಹೀಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಕಮ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ದಿ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್. ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ SBM, SBI, ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್, Canara, Vijaya Bank, India Bank, Syndicate Bank. Yes, so Punjab National Bank, Indian Overseas Bank. Okay, so you got Bank of Baroda. So there are different banks that come under public sector bank. So public sector bank, like I told you, are those in which the government has a major stake. So government will have major stake when it comes to public sector banks. Okay, so when it comes to your private sector banks, private sector bank ivaruvaga, it's like HDFC Bank, ICICI, Kotak Mahindra. Yes, all these come under the private sector bank. Yes, ICICI irbodu, HDFC irbodu, Kotak Mahindra irbodu. Okay, so Axis Bank irbodu. So all these come under the private sector banks. So the second one is a cooperative bank. Cooperative bank. So cooperative banks, they are governed by the provision of State Cooperative Societies Act. They are governed by the provisions of State Cooperative Societies Act and meant especially for providing the cheap credit to their members. So already when I was discussing with you about the cooperative societies, I told you that these cooperative societies are introduced in order to eliminate the middlemen. So ಯಾರು middlemen ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಸೊ ಅವರನ್ನು eliminate ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ cooperative societyನ introduce ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ. Okay, so the reason behind this cooperative society is to provide cheaper credit to the members. So what happens is like when the members are provided with cheaper credit, it's like the elimination of middlemen takes place. So ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರು ಬಡ್ಡಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಸೊ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಟೋಟಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಎಲಿಮಿನೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ for that reason this cooperative banks are introduced. So it is an important source of rural credit as well. Cooperative societies are also said to be an important source for rural credit. So most of the time it's like the cooperative societies are found in rural areas. So it's like they provide or they act as a source of rural credit. So the example for your cooperative banks are like agricultural financing in India. So I mean like you have different cooperative societies. So you might have seen in your day-to-day life, you might have seen different cooperative banks. So ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಕೋಆಪರೇಟಿವ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವುದೆಲ್ಲ ಕೋಆಪರೇಟಿವ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಡೇ ಟು ಡೇ ಲೈಫಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀರಿ. ಸೊ ಆಲ್ ದಿಸ್ ದೇ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ರೂರಲ್ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್, or they are the source of rural credit in the society. So the third one is specialized banks. So specialized bank, they are foreign exchange banks. Yes, they are foreign exchange banks and also industrial banks, development banks, export import banks. Yes, exim banks. Yes, which caters to the specific needs of these unique activities. So specialized banks are foreign exchange banks, industrial banks, development banks, exim bank, catering to specific needs of these unique activities. So these banks, they provide a financial aid to industries. So heavy turnkey projects and also the foreign trade. So these are the banks which provide facilities, that is financial aid to industries as well as heavy turnkey projects as well as the foreign trade. So foreign trade ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಎಸ್, ಸೊ ಇದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಸೊ ಇದು ಅಂದರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಏನು ಸ್ಪೆಷಲೈಸ್ಡ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಇದೆ, ಸೊ ದೇ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಫಿನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಏಡ್ ಆರ್ ಫಿನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಅಸಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಟು ದೀಸ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ organization. Like I told you, industries maybe, or huge projects maybe, or it also provides financial aid for foreign trade in order to increase the foreign trade. So increase foreign trade and increase ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, it provides financial aid or financial support to foreign trade as well. Okay. So the fourth one is central bank. Fourth one is central bank. So when it comes to central bank, so India has one central bank, it is RBI. So central bank of any country, it supervises, controls and regulates the activities of all the commercial banks. So all the commercial bank, they come under the central bank. All the commercial bank, they come under central bank. So central bank, what it does, it supervises, controls and regulates the activities of all the commercial banks of the country. So it regulates all the activities of activities of all the commercial banks of the country. So it also acts as a government banker. It also acts as a government banker. So it controls and coordinates currency, credit policies of any country. Controls and coordinates currencies and coordinates currencies and credit policies of any country. So RBI is the central bank of our country. Like I told you, each and everything will be controlled, or each and every activities of the bank will be controlled by the RBI. That is the Central Bank of India. Yes. Okay. So test ge kelbodu, which bank is called as the central bank of the country, or which bank is called as the Central Bank of India. So RBI is called as a Central Bank of India. Okay, so central bank, like I told you, it supervises and controls and also regulates the activities of all the commercial bank of the country. Okay, so and also, like I told you, it acts as a government banker. So it controls as well as coordinates currency and credit policies of any country. Yes, so RBI, it is the central bank of our country. So the next concept is functions of commercial bank. So what are the functions of commercial bank? So functions of commercial bank, the commercial bank will have certain activities which are performed by it. Okay, so it will have certain functions, or it performs certain activities. So what are those activities or functions which are performed by the commercial bank? So commercial bank ಏನಲ್ಲ activities ಅನ್ನು perform ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ? The first one is acceptance of deposit. First one is acceptance of deposit. So acceptance of deposit and so like I told you in your previous class, so bank, what it does is it accepts the deposit. So deposits are the basis of the loan operation. Yes, so since banks are both borrowers as well as the lenders of money, so they borrow as well as they lend money to the one who is in need of finance. Okay, so ಯಾರ ಹತ್ರ ಇದೆ ಅವ್ರ ಕೈಯಿಂದ borrow ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, and also they lend the money to the one who is in need of it. So ಯಾರಿಗೆ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಸೊ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, loans ಅನ್ನು provide ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. It provides loans to the one who is in requirement of it. Okay, so as borrowers they pay interest. Yes, borrowers they pay interest, and what they do is, like as lenders, they grant loan and get interest. So ಯಾರು borrowers ಅಥವಾ ಯಾರು borrowers ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, okay, so borrowers ಕಡೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, bank borrow ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. As a bank, bank being a borrower, yes, when bank is a borrower, what it does is it pays interest on the amount which is borrowed. So ಏನು amount ಅನ್ನು borrow ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಸೊ ಆ ಅಮೌಂಟಿಗೆ borrow ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಅಮೌಂಟಿಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ನ ಪೇ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಬಾರೋವರ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಡಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಪೇಸ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಬಾರೋಡ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿ ಜನರಲ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್. ಸೊ ಜನರಲ್ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಿಂದ ಏನು ಅಮೌಂಟನ್ನು ಬಾರೋ ಮಾಡಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಸೊ ಆ ಅಮೌಂಟಿಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ನ ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಲೆಂಡರ್, ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ದಿ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಲೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಮನಿ ಟು ದಿ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ or the one who is in requirement of money, so ಯಾರಿಗೆ ದುಡ್ಡು ಬೇಕು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ದುಡ್ಡನ್ನು ಕೊಡುವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, it charges certain amount of interest on the loan which is provided by it. ಸೊ ಅದು ಏನು ಲೋನನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಸೊ ಆ ಲೋನಿಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, it will pay certain or it will collect certain amount of interest. ಸೊ ಏನು ಲೋನನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿರುತ್ತೆ ಆ ಲೋನಿಂದ ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟನ್ನು ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ. Okay, so these deposits are generally taken through current account. These deposits are generally taken through current account, savings and fixed deposits. So these are the different types of accounts. Current irbodu, fixed deposits irbodu, so savings bank irbodu, RD account irbodu. So all these are the different types of accounts. Okay, so these deposits, they are generally taken through current account, savings bank account as well as fixed deposit. So the current account deposits can be withdrawn to the extent of the balance in any time without any prior notice. Current deposits can be withdrawn to the extent of the balance. So ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸರಿ ಬೇಕಾದರೂ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸನ್ನು ಅದನ್ನು ವಿಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ದೆರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ ವೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಟು current account. So current account is called as a businessman's account. Okay, current account, it is called as a businessman's account. So it's like the person can withdraw the money at any time and there is no limit in withdrawal. Yes, so there is no limit when it comes to withdrawal. So current deposit, account deposits can be withdrawn to the extent of the balance at any time without any prior notice. Okay, so savings account are for encouraging savings by individuals. Savings account, they are for encouraging the savings of individuals. So yaru ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಸೊ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ದು ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ಸನ್ನು ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಅಕೌಂಟನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೋತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ದೇ ಪೇ ರೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಬೈ RBI ಆನ್ ದಿ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್. ಸೊ RBI is the one which fixes the amount of money or the interest rate. Okay, so RBI ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ರೇಟನ್ನು ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ವಿಲ್ ಪೇ ದಟ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಟು ದಿ ಒನ್ ಹೂ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ಸ್ ಮನಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ withdrawal from these accounts has some restrictions. Withdrawal from these accounts has some restrictions in relation to the amount as well as the number of time in a given period. Okay, withdrawal from these accounts has some restrictions in relation to the amount as well as the number of times in a given period. So fixed account, it's like are time deposits. So they are time deposits with higher rate of interest when it is compared with the savings account. So savings account ಗೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ the amount of interest which is provided for fixed deposits or fixed accounts are relatively more. A premature withdrawal is permissible with the percentage of interest being forfeited. Okay, so ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಅನ್ನುವಾಗ ಏನು ಅಮೌಂಟನ್ನು ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀರಿ, ಸೊ ಯು ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ withdraw the amount before that particular time period which is specified. ಸೊ ಏನು ಟೈಮ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡನ್ನು ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀರಿ ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಮೌಂಟನ್ನು ವಿಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಆ ಟೈಮ್ ಕಳೆದ ಮೇಲೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ವಿಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ರಿಮೈನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್. So the second one is lending of funds. Lending of funds. So lending of fund is the second major activity of commercial bank. This is the second major activity of a commercial bank. So it provides loans and advances out of the money received through deposit. So ಏನು deposits ಅನ್ನು receive ಮಾಡಿರುತ್ತೆ bank. Okay, so bank, like I told you, it receives certain amount of money in the form of deposit. So the fund which is collected in the form of deposits will be provided in the form of loans and advances. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಏನು ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ಸಿಂದ ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ ರೈಸ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಸೊ ಆ ಫಂಡ್ಸನ್ನು ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕು, ಇಟ್ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ಸ್ ದಿ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆರ್ ಲೋನ್ಸ್ ಟು ದಿ ಒನ್ ಹೂ ಇಸ್ ಇನ್ ನೀಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಲೋನ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು ಲೋನ್ಸನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದೀಸ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಮೇಡ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಓವರ್ ಡ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್, ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ಸ್, discounting trade bills, term loans, consumer credit and other miscellaneous advances. Okay, so it's like the advances can be made in the form of overdraft, cash credit, discounting, trade bill, term loans, consumer credit and other miscellaneous advances. So the funds lent out by banks contribute a great deal to trade, industry, transport, and other business activities. So the funds lent out by the banks contribute a great deal to trade, industry, transport, and other business activity. It's like it provides advances. Yes, like I told you, it may be in the form of overdraft or cash credit or discounting or term loans or consumer credits or any other miscellaneous advances. The funds lent out by the bank, they contribute a great deal to trade, industry, transport, as well as for the other business activities. So the next one is check facility. So you might have seen check books which are provided by banks. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಡೇ ಟು ಡೇ ಲೈಫಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ತಂದೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ತಾಯಿ ನೀವು ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ಚೆಕ್ ಬುಕ್ಸನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ನೋಡಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಓಕೆ, ಫಾರ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್. ಎಸ್, ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ ಫಿನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಚೆಕ್ ಬುಕ್ಸನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಸೊ ಚೆಕ್ಸನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ದೇ ರೆಂಡರ್ ಅ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಟು ದೇರ್ customers by collecting the checks drawn on other banks. So sometimes what happens is like the people, they draw check on other banks. Yes, okay. So what it does is it provides an important service to their customers by collecting the checks drawn on other banks. So ಬೇರೆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಚೆಕ್ಕನ್ನು ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಂದರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಯಾವ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಅದೇನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಆನ್ ಬಿಹಾಫ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಸ್ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ದಿ ಚೆಕ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ it's like the check is the most important, or it is the most developed credit instrument, a unique feature and functions of bank for the withdrawal of deposit. So ಏನು ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀರಿ, ಸೊ in order to withdraw that particular deposit which is made by you, ಸೊ ನೀವೇನು ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಿರಿ, ಸೊ ಆ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟನ್ನು ವಿಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ, in order to withdraw the deposit made by you, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಏನು ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅದನ್ನ ವಿಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಚೆಕ್ಸನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಚೆಕ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಟು withdraw the amount which are deposited. So this is the unique feature and function of bank for withdrawal of deposit. Yes, so it's like the amount can be withdrawn, that is the deposited amount can be withdrawn whenever required if the amount or balance is available in the bank account. So bank account ಅಲ್ಲಿ balance available ಇದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಅದನ್ನು withdraw ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೋದು. So it is supposed to be the most convenient and inexpensive medium of exchange. Yes, it is supposed to be most convenient and as well and also inexpensive medium of exchange. It is an inexpensive medium of exchange. So there is no expensive concepts when it comes to your that is your check facility. So it is an inexpensive mode through which the transaction or exchange can be made. Okay, so here there are two types of check. There are two types of checks. Checks ಅಲ್ಲಿ two types ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Yes, checks ಅಲ್ಲಿ two types ಬರುತ್ತೆ. One is bearer check. One is bearer check. So which are encashable immediately at the bank counter. Which can be encashed immediately at the bank counter. So bank counter ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಅದು ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಎನ್ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೋದು. ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ತಗೋಬೋದು. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಅಪ್ ದಿ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ವೆನ್ ಎವರ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಸೂನ್ ಆಸ್ ಯು ಗಿವ್ ದಿ ಚೆಕ್. ನೀವು ಚೆಕ್ಕನ್ನು ಬರೀತೀರಿ, ಚೆಕ್ಕನ್ನು ಬರೆದು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದ ಕೂಡಲೇ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಅಮೌಂಟನ್ನು ತೊಗೋಬೋದು. ಅಂದರೆ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಒನ್ ಇಸ್ ಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಚೆಕ್. ಸೊ ಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಚೆಕ್ ಇಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ದ ಚೆಕ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಕ್ರಾಸ್ಡ್. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ವಿಚ್ ಆರ್ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟೆಡ್ ಆರ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಟೆಡ್ in the payee's account. So the cross check, it goes directly to the account and the amount will not be provided to you as soon as the check is provided to the bank. So ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಗೆ ಚೆಕ್ಕನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ಕೂಡಲೇ ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ, ಅಮೌಂಟನ್ನು ತೊಗೊಳ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಇಟ್ ಗೋಸ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಟು ದಿ ಪೇಯ್ಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್. ಸೊ ಯಾರು ಪೇ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಸೊ ಆ ಪೇ ಇದು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. Okay, it goes directly to the bank account. So there are two types of check, like I told you. One is bearer check, so which is or which can be encashed immediately at the bank counter. So direct agi immediate agi ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಎನ್ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೋದು. ಯಾವಾಗ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅವಾಗ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೋದು, ಅದನ್ನು ಎನ್ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೋದು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಿಂದ. ಓಕೆ, ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ತೊಗೋಬೋದು ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ಚೆಕ್ ಬಾರ್ದು, ಆವಾಗಲೇ ಅಮೌಂಟನ್ನು ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೋದು. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಒನ್ ಇಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಚೆಕ್. ಸೊ ಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಚೆಕ್, ಲೈಕ್ ಐ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಯು, ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ withdrawn, or it is the amount goes directly to the depositors pays account. Yes, ಸೊ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೈಲಿ ಕೊಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದೇನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಇದು ಅಕೌಂಟ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ತೊಗೋಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅಂದರೆ ಯಾರು ನಮಗೆ ಚೆಕ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ದ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಗಿವನ್ ಟು ಯು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಗೋಸ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಟು ಯುವರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್. ಎಸ್, ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೋದು, ನೀವು ಅದನ್ನು ವಿತ್ಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. So the next one, that is fourth one, is remittance of funds. Remittance of funds. So another important function of commercial bank is providing the facility of fund transfer from one place to another. Yes, so fund transfer from one place to another takes place when it comes to bank. So bank, what it does is it provides a facility of fund transfer. So funds can be transferred from one place to another. Yes, or from one account to another. So on interconnectivity. Yes, so there will be interconnectivity of branches. So with the help of this interconnectivity, so interconnectivity irutte. So with the help of this interconnectivity, so what you do is like you transfer the money or fund from one place to another place. So ಒಂದು ಬ್ರಾಂಚಿಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಜಾಗಕ್ಕೆ, ಎಸ್, ಒಂದು ಬ್ರಾಂಚಿಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಜಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಲೇಸಿಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಪ್ಲೇಸಿಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ, ಅಮೌಂಟನ್ನು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ. ಯು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ದಿ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಒನ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಟು another place. Yes, okay, so that is a unique feature. It is an important as well as a unique feature of bank. So it's like it's because of the interconnectivity of the branch. So branches are connected with one another. Okay, so what happens is like the amount can be easily transferred from one bank to another. So the transfer of fund is administered by using the bank draft or pay orders or mail transfers on nominal commission charges. So usually when you carry out the transferring activity, fund transfer irutte. So fund transfer activities anna carry out maduvaga, when you carry out fund transfer, it's like they charge a certain amount of commission. Yes, bank in madutte, it charges certain amount of commission. So commission in madutte, charge madutte. So transfer, like I told you, the transfer of funds can be made through bank draft. ಒಂದು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಡ್ರಾಫ್ಟಿಂದ ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ನ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಎಸ್, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಪೇ ಆರ್ಡರ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಪೇ ಆರ್ಡರ್ಸಿಂದ ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ನ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಎಸ್, ಒಂದು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಡ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸಿಂದ ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ನ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಪೇ ಆರ್ಡರ್ಸಿಂದ ಫಂಡ್ನ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಮೇಲ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಮೇಲ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ಸಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಫಂಡ್ಸನ್ನು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಡಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಚಾರ್ಜಸ್ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಮನಿ ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಡ್ ಔಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ the bank issues the draft for the amount on its own branch at other places or other banks at those places. So what it does, it issues a draft for the amount on its own branch at the other place. So ಬೇರೆ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಅದರದೇ ಬ್ಯಾಂಚಿಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಡ್ರಾಫ್ಟನ್ನು ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅಥವಾ ಕೆಲವೊಮ್ಮೆ ವಾಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಡಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಡ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ ಟು ಅದರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್. ಎಸ್, ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ವಿಚ್ ಈಸ್ ಅವೈಲೇಬಲ್ ಇನ್ ದಟ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್. ಬೇರೆ ಬ್ರಾಂಚಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಬೇರೆ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಬೇರೆ ಬ್ರಾಂಚ್ಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಇಟ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಡ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹೌ ಇಟ್ transfers the fund from one bank or from one branch to another branch. So the payee, you can present the draft on the drawers bank at the at his place and collect the amount. So what a payee can do, payee is the one who is receiving the money. So payee, what he can do is like he can present the draft. Draft ide draft na present ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಏನು ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಅವನು ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೋದು. So he can collect the amount. Yes, we can collect the amount which he has to get with the help of the ಡ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಅವ್ನಿಗೇನು ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಸಿಗಲಿಕ್ಕಿದೆ ಸೊ ಅಮೌಂಟನ್ನು ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. So the fifth one is allied service. So apart from acceptance of deposit, lendings of funds, check facility, remittance of fund, so the bank, it carries out certain other activities also. Bank, it carries out certain other activities. So what are the other activities which are carried out by the bank? So bank ಏನಲ್ಲ activities ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. So it's like it provides certain allied facilities like bills payment. So it pays bill. So ಒಂದು bill payments ನ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. So you might have seen banks, what it does is it pays bills. Okay, so locker facility ಅನ್ನ provide ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. Sometimes it also provides underwriting services. It also provides underwriting services. So when I was explaining you about joint stock company, I told you that underwriters will be appointed. Okay, so bank, what it does is it provides underwriting services. So nowadays it's like bank, it makes payment of what ಇನ್ಶೂರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಲೋನ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವುದೆಲ್ಲ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪೇಮೆಂಟನ್ನು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸೇ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೀಸ್ ಔಟ್ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಅದರ್ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟೀಸ್ ಅಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಯೋರ್ ಬಿಲ್ಸ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್, ಲಾಕರ್ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟೀಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅಂಡರ್ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಸೊ ದೇ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಪರ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಅದರ್ services like buying and selling of shares. They also carry out other facilities like services like buying and selling of shares on behalf of the customer. Okay, so not just shares but also debentures. Yes, bari shares matra alla, debentures annu kuda ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, buy ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. It buys shares, yes, and debentures on instructions of the customer. Okay, and other personal services like ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದಾಗೆ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಶೂರೆನ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರೀಮಿಯಮ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಕಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಡಿವಿಡೆಂಡ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಆಲ್ ದೀಸ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಡನ್ ಬೈ ದಿ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಆನ್ ಬಿಹಾಫ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್. ಸೊ ನಾಟ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಬೈಯಿಂಗ್ ಆರ್ ಸೆಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಶೇರ್ಸ್, ಬಟ್ not just what accepting and lending money or check facility and remittance of fund. It also carries out other facility. ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಶೂರೆನ್ಸನ್ನು ಪೇ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಎಸ್, ಇಟ್ ಪೇಸ್ ಇನ್ಶೂರೆನ್ಸ್. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತು ಲಾಕರ್ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟೀಸನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಅಂಡರ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸನ್ನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ different facilities which are provided by the bank. So bank, it provides different kinds of facilities. So nowadays it provides insurance facilities also. So bank ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದೆ, it is providing certain insurance facilities to the customers ಗೆ insurance facilities ಕೂಡ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. Okay, so this is all about the functions of commercial bank. So these are all about the functions of commercial bank.